Do we
to
know
get
where
paid
the
for it.
town's going as far as tourism?
I
Now,
just know what I read in the paper.
And how this,
I mean, that
this,
seems like,
That's
is
the,
it going to the chamber
the black hole.
or?
how could this committee help with that? Because it's one area and it's one, we have common interests,
And
it's the
we've already
same
decided that
people.
we're gonna be in agreement, you know, I mean, through the
Is
memorandum.
there a way
Yeah.
we've
to
already
divert,
decided.
to merge both of them? Is that's a town council issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
Historically, tourism departments don't work well in chambers.
No, I'm not worried about that, but I mean, as far as the town.
Oh, the town, I don't know.
Is there a way to
Wait and
merge our committee,
We
our
have,
planning with town and
That's
be
what this
one?
committee is
Well, it
supposed to
just
do.
That's
seems
what
like
it
this
was,
precludes
yeah.
that somehow, I don't know how.
Well, this is
That
all
seems like
county
that precludes
dollars.
it.
Well, but that's
So-
only
But you're-
because the
you're-
town
but
dollars
you're-
don't seem to be available for us to
well, the
work with
town,
right now.
the town has their own tourism department, kind of like, you know.
That was Felicia, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So would this be an opportunity for us to approach the town? I mean, it seems like a perfect opportunity.
and say,
Nothing's in stone yet before they hire somebody, before they spend those dollars. Hey,
To do
it's-
what?
To merge. I
Well,
don't know what
we
the, I don't know
can't,
what
we
the,
can't run the process, but we certainly can provide the
I just want the money.
oversight, right?
I just want the money.
You want the
Because
money.
everybody's benefiting, you know what I'm saying?
You mean you want
You
Taryn
want the
to run
or-
tourism?
No, I don't, I'm not trying to add more
She's
work
kinda
on Taryn,
answering.
but
You
I'm,
want the committee to have,
The
you don't
direction.
want the town's budget to go to an outside firm.
correct, correct.
I understand what you're saying, and yeah, we can, definitely, we could send some, that would be up to the committee.
I mean, that seems like it would help local businesses, town business, county business.
I think that's the argument.
You want to, I don't understand.
Do you want this to be?
Town has a tourism budget, correct?
Yeah.
County has a tourism budget, correct?
Right.
Merge it.
So we
And
have
who
a budget
runs it?
here,
Yeah.
but we have another budget, so we actually don't know what the real full budget is for this.
I have no
I
idea.
thought theirs was 300 and some.
It was somewhere in that
range.
range.
I mean, and that's just from
Yep.
what I've read.
Two, yeah.
I have not seen the budget. I just know ours. County.
That deals directly with tourism. I'm not
Yeah.
talking about movies downtown, I'm not talking, you know,
It's probably about $500,000 together, right?
so what, are you suggesting that it should be one and that there's
we're just working against ourselves. I mean,
some sort of a staff
It's
that,
like a CVB.
I thought Liz Lewis,
That's
Page
kinda how
County
it
did
would
it that way,
function,
don't
what
they?
you're
Liz-
talking
Liz
about,
Lewis, I don't know if
Convention
that's that
Visitors
way.
Bureau.
They take
And
care of
that's
the
where a
Ray
town
Page.
county,
And she's trying to get out from under the
organization
Chamber of
called
Commerce is what she told me.
Convention
She's trying to
Visitor
get it into
Bureau,
its
and
own
then there's a
department.
director, and they work
Tourism.
with the tourism dollars, and then it funds out
Because
to
I mean, I
work
talked to
with,
her as my connector
the
authority
attractions
partner.
and
That's
lodging and
kinda what I heard from
restaurants
her.
and everybody.
Yeah,
That's
everybody
kind of
does
what
it
you're,
different.
sounds to me
I don't know
like
how it
different.
works, I just,
Yeah.
Yeah, where I'm
Kinda-
from, all the other states I've lived in, that's what happens.
you know, so there's no, you know, I'm not specifically, you wouldn't
Yep.
want me, because I'm gonna
There's
go
one
for golf.
budget. Yep,
You know, you wouldn't want you, because you're, you know,
yep,
Go for
for a
it.
one
reason,
budget.
you know, just
Mhm.
whether you hire somebody, whether we already have somebody somewhere that can take it over, not Taryn, but, you know, I
And
know
who
she
would they
does.
work
That's why I'm
for?
not even, huh?
Who would they work for?
Hmm?
Who would they work for?
They work for tourism, for the county and the town.
Okay, who do they report to?
They
Who would
work
write
for the
their
budget.
I think they report to the Board of Supervisors and the Town Council.
Okay.
Correct.
And if you guys can't figure it out, then, you know, leave it up to Doug. And
No, let's not
Tedrick.
leave it up to
And
Doug.
Tedrick. But I'm sure you guys can figure it out and Town Council can figure it out.
Well, there's got to be a joint effort between the town and the county to be able to sit down and talk about it.
Yeah.
I think it's a terrific idea, and I don't know that it's been tried before or not, but it's well worth the consideration of both groups trying to sit down together and trying to figure it out.
And I don't know if that's, you know, chamber, and maybe that doesn't work, but if you already have somebody in place pushing tourism, pushing local business, pushing, you know, I don't know. It just seems like,
You know, because it's like, even though I work for a hotel, my job isn't sell rooms. My job is to get people to come to Front Royal.
correct,
That's
correct.
my job. That's what I do. I
And
like
before
people
you
to
and
come
before
here.
Blue Ridge Shadows, we bring, I'll just give you some numbers, you know, $50,000 or 50,000 players play golf at Shenandoah Valley Golf Club per year. They would spend money in the gas station, spend money in the restaurants. We had very little lodging, and then they would leave. And that's the way it was.
Well,
And then we were still the canoe capital. We pushed canoe, you know, nothing for golf. And Brent and I banged our heads for years against that, and he's done leaps and bounds, you know, more so than I have. But they would leave, and nobody would recognize those dollars. We'd recognize them indirectly with sales. But
It's like
nobody
the-
said, hey, you know
it's
what?
like the motorcycle ladies that you
Exactly.
commented about the last 2 years.
I don't care if you
There's
never
300 plus
stayed-
people that have
if you
stayed
never
everywhere.
Walked in your hotel, went to Blue Ridge Shadows, never went to Houlihan's. You seen that, all those motorcycles in the area. You seen it.
They were everywhere.
Absolutely. It's time we start working together.
So that's
And that-
what
that-
I
that pot of
promote
money should be
tourism
huge.
every single day. I sell front rail every day. I have a bus coming in from Toronto, and actually I'm going to talk to Katie about it because they wanted something like a niche, and I'm like, and when I saw her, I'm like, oh, I could send them to Katie's place.
Yep.
You know, then I could persuade them instead of going to DC and staying in Alexandria, they're gonna stay in Front Royal, commute to DC, do the little thing where they come back
And
in,
then get
and
out.
then they added on 3 more days to do stuff around our area. That's what I do.
Well, I agree, we definitely should work together.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't wanna go out on our own and start our own tourism to do with this money because the town was already doing it,
Yeah.
so.
It's been apart too long. Too long. There's my speech.
So what would this?
You won't see me
what
for
would
another
this-
6 months.
What would this group do though, in
I'm just
relation to
kidding, I'm just
that?
kidding.
What would this group do? So does this group guide, does this group approve a budget, does this group,
Yeah.
what does it do?
Everything that we're doing now. I just think that, you
I
know,
don't think we're
we,
doing that much now, actually.
Well, I think we could have been doing, we can do more.
And I think that, you know better than I do, Taryn, but I think this group is kind of a statutory requirement. I think for this fund of money, this, hospitality tax,
It doesn't need to be made up exactly like this.
That's
but-
what I'm
but-
trying to
but-
understand,
But we
yeah.
like it.
what
this
I
variety.
think is, I think it's required. I think the state of Virginia requires
They
the Board
require-
of Supervisors to have an advisory committee, board / whatever you wanna call it. So the committee is bound to exist, it's going to exist, so it's a matter of making it, a value, you know, a value-added, if you will, resource for the town and the county. A committee that comes together, and not only do we, you know, bless or reject ideas that go to the board, but also create them.
it's like the House and the Senate.
Is
get
there
it
a
passed.
great examples of committees in other jurisdictions that work really well? Do we know if they're?
I mean, you said
Yeah,
Traditionally,
those kinds of them really
the-
happen in other cities.
the chamber is not a good,
Not normally, no.
Not
Historically, no. Mm-mm. No.
but it's already established. It promotes tourism. It has its own facility.
I don't know.
I don't know.
guess Page
I mean, I
County's
don't-
chamber does
Their
theirs.
tourism trying to get out from underneath you.
I don't know
That's been a huge issue in Page County.
But you
Chambers have
had
to function
said,
like a
Billy,
business,
that,
you know, I mean, they
that
kind of
it
function
is,
that way.
there are other committees that are in place in other places, because it's a requirement, so do those committees?
Well, I
what do
don't know.
those-
I
okay.
don't know how
Well-
other counties and towns handle
Yeah,
that requirement. But I think that,
Does that work?
somewhere in the Code of Virginia, it's written that for this money to be allocated, that there has to be
Third
some
party
sort of an
committee.
advisory. In other words, maybe you know, Mr. May, but there has to be input from the,
Local tourism
from the
industry
local,
is how it's
yeah,
written.
from the local citizenship, the
Okay,
Yeah.
And
they
that's
can't
only
just-
for the localities that collect this additional tax for
Correct.
lodging.
Now,
So that's not
if
everybody.
my understanding is correct, and I may be wrong because I'm one of the new guys. If we have a tourism group and we have dollars to spend, and it's our dollars and we don't have the town, we don't have anybody else involved in it, we can control it, and we would have to have our own advisory group, correct? Okay, but now we're just basically listening to the input from the town because they're the ones that's actually doing the distribution of funds, doing all of the activities. We're just being a part of it. So we're basically just giving you the money to help you further your need.
That's kind of what we've been doing.
Right.
That's,
Like,
yeah.
I mean,
And it sounds like to me, you want to change that. If we're going to change that, we have to get all the people that are involved to sit down and say, okay, this is for the betterment of the community. How can we do it together to benefit all of us? That's, the rivers, that's the canoe people, that's the caverns, that's the Skyline Drive, that's the motorcycle groups, that's the golfing, that's all of those things that make
Yes.
Warren County what it is.
Yeah.
So if we're going to do that, or if, I should say, y'all are gonna do that, if you wanna propose that, I'm happy to listen. And then I'm also happy to try to champion that, to talk with the county or with the town to see if that makes sense with them.
That's a lot more meetings.
I was gonna say,
That's a lot more meetings on my part, at least at first. I mean,
I'm just saying
if we're having
that's a huge undertaking considering where we are right now with, with the, so much being up in the air on the town side and.
Well,
But you
let's,
made a statement that the town is managing the county's money.
no,
Okay.
they're not managing the county's money. What
Okay.
they're doing is the town has their own ideas of the way that they want to spend money.
That's right.
Okay, the county just happens to have money to be able to give if we need it.
Okay, but they haven't given the money to the town.
Oh, I don't know if.
oh, we've done
paid
some ads.
Yeah, but this is not this money. This money doesn't go to the town. You manage that money.
Yeah, but out of this, we have done like ads they've came and proposed
Okay.
and stuff like that.
Minor things, so.
So if you came
I'd say
to the
probably
county and said, or
20,000.
Taryn, through the county and says, we want to do this, it makes sense and it's part of the budget that's proposed, I don't know why we would not help. Because
Right.
we're basically a helping group right now, if I'm not mistaken.
And that's the reason I think we need to know if the budget was frozen and how much was left in it. I mean, we're
On
just-
our
we're flying
side-
on the town side. I mean,
Yeah.
we're flying
Yeah, I
blind as
can't
far as
answer
any
for the
type
town.
of an agreement with.
Well, and on your side, it's already allocated, it looks like.
Well, that's just what I was proposing, but I
Oh.
mean, it can
It's just a
be,
budget.
Yeah,
yeah,
It's
it
a
can
tool.
be.
you give me money, Taryn's gonna put a budget together.
And I know you guys think that we're not moving as fast as we could, but I've been involved in lots of this type of stuff in my life. And to even get as far as you are with these wayfinding signs as infrequently as we meet, I mean, that's actually some work.
I think it's amazing.
That's actually gotten some
I've been
things
here,
done.
what,
So there are
about
other
10
things that we
years, right? And I come
bounce
from
around
big
too much.
tourism places, and it's been terrible. I
Yeah,
hated
I mean,
working
I
out here
think
because nobody got it.
just the
But I
production of
will
this
say
is
the
good.
last couple of years, it's changed, and it's getting better. And we were on the upswing, so I don't want to see it go backwards
Correct.
to where we're at. I see the numbers coming in. Like I said, yeah, I work for a hotel, but my job is to sell Front Royal. So,
But I think every one of our customers, or every one of our people, every one of our businesses should be selling Front Royal, no
I-
matter what.
agree wholeheartedly with that.
I just think, well, and this is just me, and maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but you have somebody that comes into town. Where's the first place you're gonna go to find out
Down-
the
if you-
information?
It depends upon if you know where you're going.
Well, let's say,
If you don't know where you're going, you're gonna be looking for the visitor center.
I'm gonna look at that.
yeah,
In the visitor center.
you're gonna go to the visitor center, you're going to go to the
Visitor
chamber.
center.
I'm so sorry, Taryn.
Okay, that's okay, Billy, thank you for coming.
I would just like to see somebody, and I think we can,
Man,
we got a new slate coming, right? A blank slate. And there's a lot of unknowns out there. I just know
glad to be there.
there's a considerable amount of money with the town, and there's a considerable amount of money with the county. And if we're all in and doing the same thing, we're gonna promote food and beverage, we're gonna promote lodging, we're gonna promote Skyline Drive, the rivers, the golf courses. Why not have one body? Here's your pot of money, you have a board, you allocate that money, you go to town council and board of supervisors, or maybe you have each one person from the board of supervisors and town council to present that back and get it approved, and then here's where you want to spend your money. We already have the visitor center, and we already have the Chamber of Commerce. They should be working just like
Together.
that.
And they should be.
Not one for the town and one for the county, because at the end, we're all benefiting. We're
Well,
supposed to be.
when you're expanding their base as well. You're
Absolutely.
taking that Chamber of Commerce and spreading it out all through the county. And you're taking that visitor center all through the county as well. So
You don't want to go to two places.
you don't want to go to two places. But there are two separate entities and each has its methodologies, if that's the right word. If I go to the Chamber of Commerce, I'm trying to set up a small business. I'm trying to visit and see what's already here. I'm trying to look for demographics. I'm trying to look for business-related things. If I'm wrong, but I don't think that I am. If I'm going to the visitor center, what's there to do in this town? And that's really all that I'm asking. And I'm picking up the little brochures. So,
When you walk in that chamber, there's nothing but business brochures,
Yeah.
attractions. It's not, what's the demographics,
well, you
mean-
have to ask
I
for that.
agree, but
Correct.
I think that this average consumer would go to a visitor center. Because I know when I was moving to Warrenton, I called the chamber. I'm like, I need a list of the schools with the stats and the demographics, and so I could figure out where I wanted to live. And I went to the chamber for all that stuff.
but it'd be nice to go to one place, have it all, one-stop shop.
How common are visitor centers? How common are visitor centers?
Extremely
I
common.
think
I
they're
think
very
they're
common.
Do
some of them are
most-
outstanding.
do
They're
most
educational
towns have
centers and
visitor
history and all this other
centers?
stuff.
Yeah, most
Not
of
just,
them.
not just visitors.
I know Williamsburg has an amazing one,
Some great ones out there.
so.
It all
That's
depends
all I'm
upon-
saying.
it's all
I'd
depends
like to
upon
see
the
everybody
dollars.
work together, this money, not the copycat or to, do the same, let's not have the county do the same thing that the town's doing and vice versa, spend the same amount of money. That's it, let's
I think
just,
that's what the function of this, the premise of this was, but you're talking about an agency of some sort or a
bringing it together.
Yeah,
Yeah,
For one
somebody's
purpose.
gonna have to
Something, you
lead
know.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Do we know if we have anybody operating the visitor center in town?
Gail Krager.
yeah, they're still
Yeah,
there.
they're still
Okay.
there.
They're still there.
Tim is still there.
Okay.
Yeah, those, I think it's 4
'Cause I
people.
thought I read
They're not-
something
They're,
that
they're
there's some
funded until the end of
employees.
June.
They're
I read
still
some-
there for now.
Okay,
I mean,
They're
So I
not
read something
funded,
that-
right? They're not funded after a certain date, is that right?
After
I think it's
June 30th, I
it's
think.
June,
so everything's still in the air. All I'm saying is if we were able to come up with a solution to this problem, it might be a home run.
Okay, so how do we do that?
I don't know. That's what I'm
yeah. If that's another
asking.
meeting,
Sounds like another meeting.
well, I mean,
it's something to think about.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good
And that
idea.
could be a recommendation from this committee.
Yeah.
And you're
So I
saying
think
an
we're still in a
individual
wait-and-see
that works
period, though.
on behalf of not the town or the county, works on behalf of the council and the,
Co-op it with the chamber and visitor center,
I mean,
with Nikki
yeah.
and, I don't know who's at the visitor center,
Yeah.
but
That'd be 10, wouldn't it?
It's Tim is the
Needs to be a
manager.
CVB. That's what it needs to be.
and what does that mean again?
Convention Visitors Bureau.
There you go.
Visitor Center, all wrapped up into one.
Why
That's
go
what
two
it
different
is.
places? Why go to two different buildings? Why, if you're gonna establish yourself here, whether it's a business or not, you're gonna wanna know what your employees have access to, what the schools are like, what the entertainment's like, and that's huge.
So this CVB, how is that typically structured and who does that report to?
I don't know how it reports to in other towns, but it's like it's its own entity. So I think it reported up in the
Probably has its
mayor's
own
level,
board.
something like that. But I think in
You just get
Rochester and
funding from
Buffalo,
the
it's like
town and
mayor
the
level.
county, and
But
it's- they
they
manage
have
it.
their own director, and then this town isn't big enough, but you know, then they have people that work under there can go after different markets to sell, and it's kind of like what I'm doing now. Would be what I do now is what a CVB would do. Going after the different niche markets for the area that would bring people in to stay and play and meet and do whatever.
Who does the broader things, like the wayfinding and the geogating
Wayfinding
and
wouldn't
the
fall under
website?
CVB.
Okay,
Because if I remember, Brent wasn't fond of the wayfinding either as tourism dollars, so wayfinding would not have been part of a CVB issue.
And the website would probably, I don't know who would manage that. The
My whole
the
point is,
locality.
we have an opportunity here, I think. With everything being up in the air, I'm sure the town would
yeah.
love a solution to that problem.
I'm sure that they would.
A
too,
feasible
but
solution.
just- We have to realize too, that we have to get both government entities
Correct.
to actually start talking. And
That's been the problem.
that's been a problem that we have to face. And if we can do it a piece at a time, fine, I'm happy with that. But if one party or the other says, no, I don't want to do it, it kind of dies from one end or the other. We still got money collected, it continues to be exactly the way that it is. Y'all have still got your money being collected, or it's frozen or released or whatever. Then y'all have to make the decision, or the town has to make the decision on how they're gonna go after it. We're just gonna help.
But can we even start a dialogue with the current situation? I mean, I'm not
Karen?
sure that's available to us right now.
Karen will come to me
Karen will
one
come
day
to
next
you.
week and she'll say, Walt, this is what we'd like to do. Do you have any idea? And then I'll in turn go to my people and talk to the rest of the supervisors and go, here's what we'd like to try to think about. What does everybody think? And then we'll open it up for a dialogue with the communities, and hopefully the communities will back us. I mean, in so many ways, I mean, I'd love to see the people participate, because it's the people's thing, not this group. If the people want it, it'll happen. If the people don't want it, the Board of Supervisors will do their best to make the right decision for the communities. Happens on both sides, town council and the county. So the dialogue has to start. Taryn's gonna start that.
How do we
Right,
start it with the
So right now,
town?
the town has said that they wanna outsource it, so I don't know what that means. Like, does it mean to a chamber? Does it mean,
So we need to find
so
out
I think we,
what they're looking for.
For the town, you've gotta find out what they're really looking for.
yeah.
And it might be just a conversation, just like we're trying to do right now.
I mean, do we know what type of budget? You said 500,000?
I mean, I think the town's is 300 something.
yeah,
We got
combined,
120.
combined, it's
We're
about,
talking
what I'm
about
saying.
combined,
Oh.
it's about $500,000. It's very little.
You can do.
I mean,
No, I
particularly,
know.
This day and time.
particularly the county, $120,000 is nothing, you know, for,
It'll be more when Marriott comes on.
Yeah.
It-
but it's really a
It'll
very
be
small
double.
amount. You know, you do one thing, it's $8,000. You know, one ad can be $8,000 if you decide to do an ad.
Here's the thing, you know, I want somebody told me one time, if you don't get behind your profession, what do you get behind? I want the community to get behind us in return, because we've invested our money here. I was born and raised here, so was Taryn. I mean,
A lot of money.
you guys come in, you know, we put a lot of money. I just want the support. I want the support from the town and the county to be one behind us, because we're generating those tax dollars and making this a better place to live.
Perfect timing.
And a
great
destination to live.
solution.
That's what I want. I don't care about attitudes, I don't care about what was, but I want somebody to say, hey, we got your back. How can we make it better? Not what the town wants to do, not what the county wants to do, what we want to do collectively as a whole. How do we get there?
Felicia showed me 4 TV spots that have been made by some group out of Harrisonburg. They're at 42nd. Do you know where those are at and how much those cost?
Those are through the Shenandoah Valley Tourism Partnership, I think. I'll find out.
Some of those are actually in the county. I mean,
Yes.
there's some here and some.
Do we pay for that,
And they looked great.
that partnership?
I mean, they were just superb.
We do.
And
Are
what-
they
what-
done?
what-
They were done, yeah, I saw them.
5,000 a
Actually
year,
saw them as
I think,
a
and that was
mountain
not
biking.
from the
It was like an
town's
ATS. It
budget.
was
So
superb.
if we wanna
And my
continue in
cystic
that,
fibrosis
we could take that
people,
out of the town's,
I gave them
or
to
the
your
county's
store.
budget.
Did
They're
you?
looking for,
I don't think we should drop that regional
They're doing like a-
partnership.
No, I don't think so either.
There are a lot of
It's,
those.
it's not a ton of money
Pledges or
to sit at the
or
table.
just
It's called the
for-
Extreme
And they
Hike.
do-
It's a big
they
event
do
in
stuff.
October.
do they need guides or they need,
No, they have a guide, they needed stuff, I gave them your information.
just, we'll take care of them.
I mean, if we could take this 120 and go to 500,000, I mean, I know it's not much in the big picture, but it's a hell of a lot more than what we're working with now.
It's better than nothing.
But, you know, the obvious thing is, you don't know how much you're working with now.
Yeah.
There might be $300,000 sitting in the town's portion that they wanna freeze or
Yeah, we don't
whatever.
know.
I'm not saying that it's frozen.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, we don't know.
We don't know.
We know what the county has.
Whether they matched it or anything to work for one cause, and that's to promote tourism.
Well,
That's it.
I don't believe that we're far off at all.
I don't think so either.
I just think that if you're gonna do it, we have to do it correctly, and that
Correct.
means somebody's gotta talk to the mayor and Mr.
Absolutely
Teacher,
jointly.
and somebody's gotta talk to the chamber or the board of supervisors, and
How do we
Everybody
make
has
that
to start.
happen instead of,
no, it'll happen. Tara, all she's gotta do is talk.
and I'm not trying to
I
create,
think it
I'm not
should be
trying to,
No, I mean,
I'm too passionate.
Yeah, I can see that. But if Taryn comes to me, or somebody from the group comes to me and says, this is a little bit of a proposal that we're trying to do, what's your thoughts on it? It starts a ball rolling. And it goes basically down the food chain until it either stops or continues to go. And if you can do the same thing with the town, it goes down the food chain, the mayor, his appointed town person or town administrator. It goes down that food chain until it gets to the parts to where we're going to our community and saying, this is what we'd like to do. We don't want to lose this activity. And it has to happen on both sides of the fence. Once everybody gets the approval, us as a chamber, or us as a bunch of supervisors are gonna sit back and go, let's approve this, and let's establish a budget, or establish
Correct.
dollars for it.
Is there something out there where the town, is there a position out there where the town and county share that expense?
No,
Just say like a Tim or a Nikki, is there somebody out there that says, all right, town, you're on the hook for 50%, we're on the hook for 50%, we have a
whatever.
CB.
Yeah.
CBV position, and I'm
Yes.
just doing that for an example, and you have a staff of 4. And then
Yeah.
you have a
Yeah.
volunteer, Candy Striper staff of 6 that is non-paid volunteer staff.
Taryn,
I mean, is there something like that out there?
David's.
we don't, the county does not have
But we
that.
fund them
Right,
totally.
right. Oh, you fund them totally, but that covers
Oh, no,
both.
That covers both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are some positions
Well,
that cover
some
both.
CVBs are like Erie, PA. I lived in Erie for a while, and very small town in Erie, but very big on tourism. And they had 2-3 people, but then the members and lodging and attractions and restaurants kind of come together. You meet monthly or subcommittees, and we go after. The military reunion is a viable to our area in XYZ time frame because we're slow, and so we're gonna hit that. So you focus on the different niches, markets, and it was all volunteer, and that's what we all did.
And all I'm saying, we have a beautiful visitors. I mean, that is absolutely gorgeous. It really is. If you were able to co-op, a person that's paid 50-50, half by the county, half by the town, that's there for one purpose, and that is for tourism, that's for, to include the chamber, and that person's in charge. And then she has a staff, or he or she has a staff, and then you have some volunteers, and here's where you go. Here's where you go. You don't go here, then if you want to possibly start a business, well, you gotta go down this street and talk to this lady, or this person. one person, one stop, and they're controlled by the Board of Supervisors. I think the salary and things like that are controlled by the board or the Board of Supervisors and the town, and then, you know, we recommend where to spend the dollars. This committee recommends where we spend the dollars in the town and in the county.
Not
Seems
dis-
simple.
not
I don't know.
disagree.
Maybe I just don't know the.
I would be happy to type up something from this committee to the town.
I just think we have a very good opportunity right now because things are volatile. I don't think anything's in stone. I don't want to see our dollars go outside for an outside agency to run our tourism. To tell us how, you know, go to the brewery, go to the Holiday or, you know, Blue Ridge shows, you know, go. Let's keep it in.
So let's just speak to the 800-pound gorilla in the room. We're an advisory board to these entities here, and one of the entities is talking about privatizing. So how does the board feel about that? You know, do we vote on that? Do we make a recommendation? I mean, that seems to be the big, exactly
I
what you're
can
talking about, but
tell
that's what's coming.
Yeah, I mean, from a lodging perspective, nope,
Yeah,
absolutely not in my.
from a
my
travel
laws and my
perspective,
owner
I would say no.
already
I
But,
mean,
but
nobody
are
can
they
talk
saying,
about the place
saying
like
to
a local.
privatize, or are they saying that there's options out there, we don't know what the options
There's a
are?
lot of smoke. I mean, there's a lot of
Right,
different
right,
things
I don't
that are
know,
being
I don't know,
said, but I heard the word privatization a number of times.
I mean, I think that's always a question, right?
Exactly.
So that's always an option, but.
Can a
there are other-
for-profit group, treating this as an account, do the same job that a local
Yeah.
would with history and backdrop and insider information? I mean, could they handle it as well?
It would be great, actually, if we went out and saw how other places do it, if we can find models that we like
There were-
even.
There were numbers thrown out the other night at the meeting. 1 out of 6 of the tourism people that she contacted does it privately. And it
Yeah,
was down in
but it would be good just to
Roanoke
get
and different
educated,
places.
you know?
Yeah, I can call
We-
them.
And I don't mean to
Williamsburg.
stir the pot. I don't want to see our dollars go outside, and I want
I
it to
think that's
be,
kind
I
of
want
where
it to
we're
be a
headed
shared
with
program.
this.
You know,
Totally.
interestingly, we recently were talking to like this radio station or something to do something at the brewery. We're gonna pay them to do it, and they said, well, they work with Loudoun County, and Loudoun County has like this fund, which is funded by you know, partially by them and then partially by the businesses. And they provide all these services, like the radio station would come and this, you know, entertainer would come and you could get these resources or whatever. And they go, why don't you guys do it that way? And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking
It's
about.
because it's part of Visit Loudon, which is a CVB.
Okay, so that's what I think they said, it was Visit Loudon, and they had, but it's a matching kind of thing too. So they have these base resources, and then if the businesses want to use these resources, they put in money and kind of match that money. So that's a totally different, and I was like, well, we don't do that. And it's a totally different model altogether. But maybe one of the things that this group does is just do some research, and it's not too hard to do some research and find out, you know, what are the 6 models that are out there and what really matches what we would like to do here. I don't know, a private model is just one model. It's probably not a one that's very common, but there's probably lots of, you know, semi-private ones, public models. There's lots of different things we could do, and we could say, hey, that would really work for us based on our situation. I don't know, and
Yeah.
not just in Virginia, but into other places. I mean, I lived in Pennsylvania, in Massachusetts, and New York, and I think the structure, the town-county structure is the most odd thing I've ever seen in any place I ever lived, you know? So there's probably other models that are actually more
I've never
combined.
seen it before.
Yeah, more combined that are like one, you know, because that are more holistic than what we've been doing, that might be of interest in another state. So, I don't know, maybe before we get back together, we do some research and we find out, and then we do a reach out to, as well as you were saying, to those, you know, who are in the county to say, what is it that you'd like from your, and the town, what is it you'd like, because there's a pretty hot topic right now from tourism.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, we can't wait on this, I don't think. I mean,
Well,
it's hot, it's fresh. I mean, if we were to take the initiative and challenge town council and board of supervisors to come together to work for one purpose, tourism, I think we have the infrastructure, so, I mean, I think we do. Or a good start.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's perfect, but
A
We have
good, a
facilities,
good
we have
start
some
may be
funding.
just a simple ask. We don't have to charge the hill every time that we
Yeah.
wanna do something.
Right.
The speed at which we're gonna have to work is gonna be the speed that it actually is. You coming to me, or you coming to the Board of Supervisors with another fire
yeah.
is not necessarily gonna cause me to react any differently.
Well, I'm just saying the fire's already started by
Well,
the
the fire's already
elimination-
started in 40 other places too.
Correct,
So
correct.
we've got a forest fire.
I'm just worried about
And we can't
tourism.
eat an elephant with one bite. We have to eat it
Channels
one bite at a
we have
time.
to
Yeah.
proceed through.
well, there are things that we could do to ask for stabilization, like stabilize the tourist center,
The
the
visitor
visitor
center,
center,
yeah.
but also then say what is the longer term plan here as well, but
And
I
then
don't
the
think we have a
advisory board.
strategy, I just
Well,
don't think we have it, I think we're missing a
stalled because
strategy.
of This recent,
Yeah, do you,
I would too.
you
um,
could
I would
speak
feel
at
that
the
very
council
much
meeting.
too.
Yeah, good.
I mean,
I mean, I
but
just,
Taryn's gonna go to Doug next week, right? And
Well-
maybe get that ball rolling, is that?
I just think there's a
Or
lot
we
of news in the
could
paper right
make a
now.
I feel like we need to present something to the town council,
yeah.
and that could be through the
Yeah.
board.
Correct.
Yeah, that's probably the right channel.
You know, I don't know the right way to structure it, but I just think that
Probably through the board.
now's the time. And whether it's charging the hill
I agree.
or not, that hill's already being charged as we speak about possibly going outside to direct our tourism dollars. And that,
Well-
I don't think that's a good,
We could say, we just wanna be involved
No,
in the
not at
answer,
all.
but we don't have the answer yet, but
That's
please
good.
give us some time, because we wanna be involved.
don't make a
in the
decision
answer.
right now.
Yes, don't just hold up, stabilize it. We're gonna do our research, we're gonna have the discussion, we'll talk to those outside of this room and see where we wanna go.
Okay.
But
But I think it's absolutely gotta be town and county agreeing.
it's the same place.
I mean, what are we talking about? I mean,
Yeah.
it's not that hard, I don't think. Maybe it's more difficult than I think it is, but,
I don't think so. I think
You
it's
know.
just to
Get everybody agree.
present it.
yeah. Everybody needs to sit down and play
Put together.
nice. I'm passionate about this community. I love this community, and there's a reason why I stayed here. There's a reason why Taryn stayed here. And, you know, I'm not willing just to let it go.
I was telling them the other night that when my dad used to bring us here, you know, you get on the Skyline, drive back to North Carolina, all that kind of stuff, and never really forgot that. But even before I bought Mountain Trails, before you and I started talking, I was still at Scott Air Force Base, like 2015. And I knew the sale of Mountain Trails had come through, and the obvious place, before I ever talked to you, I was looking at the same buildings that you were buying. You know, I was like, this is it. This is where you gotta take it. That's the obvious expansion, you know, for what we do. You know, so I think you're exactly
And
right.
I think you guys put us on the map. I really do. What you guys have
I
done
agree.
downtown.
Thank you.
It's just been crazy.
I mean, I wish the citizens could just walk through and see
the
what you've done.
comments from people around the globe that come in, that are just, I love this little town. Little guy from Italy was telling me he wanted to move here. I love this town. You live in Italy and you want to come here. Okay, this is great. You know, this is lovely. One question I had, does anybody know if Alicia followed through the Appalachian Mural Trail project thing that we got designated onto with the mural? She was supposed to be applying for a grant through those, an
No,
art
I'm not
grant,
sure. I
and it was a
can follow
$50,000 grant that we were supposed to be up for to get more art and this kind of thing. And does anybody have any reference on that? She mentioned,
I don't, but
Yeah.
I can
because that would be a good
see
grant to
who would
beautify, to help beautify the rest of downtown.
Okay, I'll write that down.
50,000 go a long way in murals and sculptures.
A long way.
And I think this committee's done a lot. I think Taryn and the committee has done a lot with this wayfindings in the short period of time that,
In
Would
the
you
bigger
agree?
scheme of
That's
things,
been
yeah. I mean, I think so,
something
yeah.
that's, I think that's something that's actually been moving along pretty good.
But
Yeah.
that's been a lot through the grant program too, has it not been? The Wayfinding?
Just some funding, and then Felicia and I were working with Fraser and Associates, so then they've done a good job.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
very
we've kind of had these deadlines of get your destinations together and follow all the VDOT rules, but I think they did a good job, Fraser.
And the word from the class of 2020 AT, through hikers northbound, is that this is the primary stop on the AT, other than Damascus and Harper's Ferry, which are obvious things, but this is the stop. It's gonna double this year with the amount of people that we see. So they're all coming
There's a
here.
lot of chatter.
They're heading here.
So I could send something to the board from this committee.
Yeah.
Is that what you wanna do?
I think so.
I think you're right. Now's the time.
I mean,
Now is the
I don't
opportunity.
think
We just
I don't
created-
think we wait.
Not until
think-
June.
No, and see
The
what
opportunity is
if.
now, while it's fresh. Yeah.
I'd rather be
more
proactive
work
than
on you.
reactive.
Well, I'll just, get something together, maybe send it out to you first, and then send it to the board.
Now, does the board, who would somebody from the Board of Supervisors represent us and propose something, if agreed upon by the Board of Supervisors, to the town council? Or how does that work? How do you guys work together?
I call up the mayor or Mr. Tedrick and sit down just across the table and say, this is what we'd like to do.
Yeah. I
And
think-
are you willing to put it in front of your council?
Nice,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean,
just didn't
that's
know how
what
that
we're
works.
trying to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily always work that way with every department, but we're trying to be as open and, I hate the word transparent, but open and honest as we can to make sure that everybody knows what we're trying to accomplish. This is a good accomplishment if we can make it happen.
Yeah,
But I'll be the first to tell you that it just won't happen as fast as you want it to happen. I can't put a timeline on it because we don't know what type of resistance we're gonna get from the other side.
correct.
So, there we are. I'm happy to help.
My big
Yeah,
push
government takes
is,
time.
it's already a volatile situation as it is. If we could come up with a possible solution.
And I think that we can actually help deflate
Correct.
some of that.
Correct.
by
Correct.
that, you
Correct.
know, By just this exact thing.
Make it
I
a
mean,
positive
I just
instead of a
can't-
negative.
I'm just not gonna go
Yeah.
without Taryn
Absolutely.
being the chair,
Absolutely.
being the person in charge here, coming to the supervisors and saying, hey, this is a good idea, let's try to make it happen. And I'm sitting here believing that that's what is gonna happen. And then,
It blows up.
Somebody else has
then
another
it
idea.
starts, we start a conversation amongst the other people.
But should Katie also go, because she's the chair of
I
this
think
group?
I can type something up and
Yep.
Katie can sign it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not really going anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just probably send something in writing
I just think,
And not, she's well spoken when she.
yeah,
from Katie.
yeah.
yeah, she writes good
She's well
letters.
spoken. Yeah.
Somebody else can sign it. I'll write it up and Katie can sign it.
And I'm not trying to stir the pot. I just,
No, you're not.
I've
The
lived
thoughts-
I lived here
Spot on.
and
I think
I'm just
the
tired
opportunity
of
is
it. We
Well,
need
the
to
thoughts are
work
there.
to a common benefit.
The thoughts are there in this little group and in
Right.
others too.
What we were formed to do was to advise, and this is what we think.
That's
And
what
the
you should do, is
opportunities got created
advise.
Because of
Yeah.
recent events, and here we are.
I think so too.
Yeah, and it's important. I mean, if you, again, it's a lot of money when you put it all together, but if you spend it poorly, you can spend it, you could just,
you
it's
can waste
gone
all
in a
you
second,
want.
yeah.
Yeah.
That
We've already
marketing
spent
and-
some.
yeah.
Maybe for nothing.
Just goes away.
Yeah.
I could
Okay.
spend that in 2 days.
All right, that sounds like a plan.
When's your next meeting?
Well,
I think
Sooner
we should
than
be-
later. Sooner than
I think
later.
so,
You wanna
just
do it?
because of what's going on, after you get something, maybe.
I mean, I'll get something in writing
Yeah,
and send
okay.
it out by email, but we can meet again. I mean, you wanna meet next month, same?
I think so, if sooner the better. Yeah,
Should we
Let me ask
invite
you,
a
we're in- we're in
representative
dire-
of
we're in
the
dire
town?
situation.
I know we
I
represent
I sent,
just on
I,
the,
I did send it out, but, I'll, yeah. I did send it.
Should,
It
would it be,
good if somebody came to the
would it be advantageous to invite Mr. Tedrick to the next meeting? Or is that too soon?
That's too
No.
soon.
Too soon?
why? I mean, he's the person who,
Well, I did send
I
him the
think you,
agenda.
would- I think I'd rather see what she writes up and collect our thoughts
Should
before we
be
present something, I
Mm-hmm.
would rather.
Or,
If he's aware of the
I'd rather
meeting,
set ourselves up for success.
yeah,
well, if he's aware of the meeting, he has a choice as to whether to come or not,
right,
just like I
right,
did.
yeah, exactly.
Right, so.
So awareness is most of it,
just
compromise
Get
helps.
our backdrop in line and.
I mean, after
Ready to
we,
go.
after we decide the direction, would it be advantageous to bounce, if we can get him here, to bounce some things off of him to make sure that,
Or wait until,
Hey.
when does the new one, when does the actual, April the new, a permanent town manager? Is that
There's
April?
not.
No, there's nothing in.
I thought he
there's no-
stopped in April.
But why wouldn't we model the behavior that we're saying is important to get the conversation going
Going,
amongst
yeah.
parties versus have one party present to another part? Why don't we just have the conversation? And if we're prepared, I don't know, but maybe that's naive of me, but to say this is a good business decision and here's why, and we'll have done our homework.
I think if Taryn gets something together, I'm not trying to create work, as I said, but gets a more professional approach than what I'm throwing out there, I think it would be, and we have time to digest it as a
Yeah,
group.
that's what I was saying, you know,
We
And
invite-
research,
we invite-
too.
and research,
Yes.
and don't go off
Research
with
is very important. Can't
I
just
mean, passion
make
only
it up.
goes so far.
point out the benefit.
Then reality.
When you
is-
talk about money,
It makes sense though.
it does
Yeah,
make
it does,
sense,
yeah.
but, you know, it just,
Okay, I'll put something together and send it out. And Katie
I'm glad I came to this meeting. I missed it. I'm sorry I've been absent.
So when's the next one?
I was hiking the trail and I lost my
So it
way.
would be the second Wednesday in March.
Get lost in Virginia, Alaska.
Heard that at
Same time.
hiking the trail.
Yeah.
Hiking the trail.
Okay, thanks, Richard.
Yeah,
Thanks, Katie.
yeah.
Thanks, Gary.
So what's the date, or are you gonna just send it out?
Well, it would be we could do the second Wednesday in March, which would be the normal meeting time at 3. Just communicate with me by email.
What about like 2 weeks from now?
I mean, that would be fine. You wanna do it sooner?
Second Wednesday in March would be the 11th.
That's the typical time, but if you all wanna have a meeting in 2 weeks, that would be
I'm
fine.
voting for moving forward a little more quickly, but just don't, because of the needs right now.
That's fine with me.
You wanna just set a date and let
What
us?
is what's 2 weeks from today? Since you have your calendar out.
The 26th.
Yeah, I'll make
Does
sure
that
I'm
work for
here.
everyone?
Do some research
I mean-
and
I don't
get
have my
her,
calendar, but I know the
Verbiage.
24th is bad, but the 26th, I think I just have a 10 o'clock, so 3 would be fine.
okay.
It works for me.
All right, let's plan on that. I'll
26th.
send an email out to everybody in the committee.
Are you
Okay.
gonna send the,
I'll send
this
the
packet
wayfinding
and the,
packet.
and the memorandum of agreement, so we have that?
Raj, thanks for coming. All you guys.
Thank you for having me. Us.